My son got kicked out of class for being autistic. I'd always been terrified of sending my son to public school. He didn't look autistic. You couldn't tell by his face or the way he walked. But the moment he opened his mouth, you knew something was different. At home, he'd say the most outrageous things without batting an eye. Like the other day, he walked straight over to me in the bathroom and said, "Dad, I hope I got my good looks from you because I don't think I got your IQ. It's too low." Even at family gatherings, my wife and I would hold our breaths every time a relative tries to speak to him. He's not even trying to be rude. He just says what he thinks is on his mind or however logic works in his head. We've always told people he just doesn't understand the invisible social rules everyone else follows. But now, my wife wants to send him to public school, filled with people who wouldn't understand him the way that we did, and honestly, it terrified me. He needs to experience the real world, my wife told me. He's 12 now. He can't stay in our little bubble forever, so we enrolled him. On the first day of class, I went with him to meet his teacher. She seemed friendly, young, but enthusiastic. "It's so sweet that you're dropping him off," she mentioned. I smiled. "Yeah, well, my son's special," I said. She laughed and waved her hand. "Of course every kid is special, don't worry. I'll take care of him." I shook my head and tried to explain that he was a different kind of special. The kind who can't pick up on social cues the way other kids did, but she had already walked off to talk to another staff member. I took a deep breath and bent down, looking my son straight in the eye. "Okay, bud, it's time for me to go. You sure you'll be okay here?" I asked softly. He nodded. "Of course. It's school. Nothing bad happens, except for school shoot." "Right," I interrupted quickly. "Let's keep the bad things to ourselves, okay?" He shrugged and stepped into the classroom to look for his seat. That day went better than expected. My son came home talking about the new friends he made, a club he plans on joining, and even teachers he really liked. Maybe my wife was right, but then I got the call. 3 weeks into classes, the principal's secretary called. "Hello, sir. Your son has been removed from class. He's currently serving detention. We need you here immediately." I left work early and rushed to school. I found him sitting alone in the detention room with a blank expression. The teacher saw me through the door's window and gestured for me to enter the room, an angry expression already plastered on her face. "I've never had a student this disrespectful," she said, even before I could ask what had happened. "We've been trying to tolerate him, but he continues to be disruptive and have an attitude. Just last Monday, while the history teacher was giving a lecture, your son stood up and began arguing with the teacher." My son spoke up. "I didn't argue with him. He was just wrong, and I was right. He told us that Christopher Columbus discovered America, but that's not true at all. He only set foot on the Caribbean islands and other places along Central and South America. If he went to the museum and read the first-hand accounts, he would know this." "See?" the teacher shouted. "This is exactly what I mean, and it doesn't even stop there. Yesterday, while I was walking down the hallway, I overheard him tell one of his female classmates that her hairstyle was unusual. She was humiliated." "No," my son corrected again. "I said it was different, and that I liked it. I'd never seen braids like that before in person." The teacher rolled her eyes, then looked at me with a more serious expression. "Today, he said something incredibly rude to me directly." "What was it?" I asked, almost too afraid to hear. She smirked at my worried expression. I asked, "What would your parents say if I called them?" And he rudely replied, "Hello," like it was a joke. I smiled. "It's not rude. That's just what you say when you answer the phone," he explained. I let out a long sigh of relief and started to laugh. The teacher stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "I'm sorry, but he's autistic. You can't tell by looking at him, but he has a very high IQ and a very low EQ. He takes everything literally." The teacher's expression hardened. "That's a convenient excuse." I pulled out my phone and showed her the doctor's notes, the therapy records, the formal diagnosis. She barely glanced at the screen. "Well, if that's true, you should have informed me properly. You failed to provide accommodations. So sorry, but I've already recommended him for immediate expulsion." But before she could storm off, a group of kids blocked the doorway. "You can't do that. He's a good person," one girl said. "He's weird, yeah," one boy said, "but he's not mean, and he's definitely not rude." Another kid jumped in. "He says stuff that sounds off sometimes, but he's the smartest kid in class, and he's actually funny, like unintentionally hilarious." The teacher tried to interrupt, but more students backed him up. By the time the principal arrived, he'd heard enough. He overruled the expulsion on the spot. I looked at my son, surrounded by kids who understood him better than most adults ever would. He said things that sounded wrong, but somehow he'd made real friends who saw past the awkwardness and liked him anyway.